Keel was a quiet human. He liked machines more than people. He worked as a technician in the outer Earth colony of Harwin 3, a place with dusty roads and bright skies. He didn't expect anything exciting in his life. Every day he repaired solar panels, fixed broken communication wires, and listened to old music from Earth. One morning, a message arrived from the Planetary Union office. The message said Keel was selected for the Unity Week program, a peace project between Earth and a powerful alien empire called the Zalari. Keel scratched his head. Why me? He asked aloud. He wasn't a soldier, a leader, or a scientist. But the message was clear. He had been matched with a Zalari delegate and would host her during Unity Week. The program was designed to build trust between the two species. 3 days later, a silver ship landed just outside the colony. It was sleek, quiet, and looked like a flying blade. Keel stood near the landing pad with sweaty hands. The door of the ship opened, and she walked out. She was tall, with soft blue skin and eyes like polished silver. Her clothes were smooth, gray and white, with glowing lines running down the sleeves. She moved like she was floating. "My name is Vera," she said, voice calm and clear. "I'm Keel," he replied, feeling small next to her. She tilted her head slightly, looking at him. "My family has reviewed your background," she said. "Your patience, discipline, and skills are all admirable." Keel blinked. "Thanks, I guess." Then she said something that made his heart stop. "My family wants us to get married, human." Keel coughed. "Wait, what?" She nodded like it was normal. "It is a traditional union offer. When one family trusts another species, they seek to join lives. This bond brings lasting peace." He stared at her. "You want to marry me? I do not make the request." "My family does," Vera explained calmly. "But if you agree, I will also accept the match." Keel didn't know whether to laugh or run. Later that day, he sat at home and tried to process everything. His mother called through the screen and nearly dropped her mug when he told her, "A real alien wants to marry." "You?" "Keel, this could be historic," she said excitedly. Keel sighed. "It's not a love thing. It's diplomacy." But his parents were already dreaming of grandchildren, galactic invitations, and a family name written in the stars. At the same time, Vera met with his colony leaders. She was serious, thoughtful, and respectful. She explained the proposal in more detail. In Zalari culture, arranged bonds were not just marriage. They were partnerships of learning, loyalty, and unity. Her family believed Earth was ready for such a step, and they had chosen Keel as the symbol of that trust. Keel couldn't sleep that night. He walked outside and looked up at the stars. "I don't even know her," he whispered. The next morning, Vera asked to meet him again. They walked beside the power fields where wind turbines spun slowly under the sun. "I do not wish to force this," she said, "but I do believe our meeting is not an accident." Keel shrugged. "I'm just a repair guy. I'm not special." "You are respectful, honest. Your record shows no corruption." "That is special," Vera replied. They sat on a bench near the turbines. For a while, they just watched the wind move across the grass. Then Keel asked, "Do you even want this? Or is it just for your people?" Vera was silent for a moment. Then she said, "At first, I thought it was duty. But after meeting you, I think it can be more." A few days passed. The Unity Week continued. Vera stayed in the colony, helping with repairs and sharing stories of her home world, Zalarian. She learned to drink earth tea and even tried to dance, though. Her movements were stiff. Keel, to his surprise, began to look forward to their talks. She was serious, yes, but also curious. She asked about earth trees, human dreams, and even earth jokes, though she rarely laughed. One evening, they stood under the setting sun. Keel felt a strange calm beside her. "I still don't know what to do," he admitted. "You do not need to decide now," she said. The decision is yours, but I will wait. Her silver eyes reflected the orange sky, and in that moment, Keel saw not an alien, just a person. Maybe this wouldn't be a mistake. Maybe it could become something new. Something human. Something Zalari. Something better. The sun was rising over Harwin 3, and Keel was already awake. He hadn't slept much the night before. His thoughts were full of one thing: marriage with an alien. His mind kept spinning. I don't even know her favorite food. And her people want us to be husband and wife? Vera, as always, was calm. She greeted Keel outside the colony's meeting hall that morning. I have prepared a list of pre-bonding agreements, she said, holding out a glowing tablet. Keel blinked. A what? In Zalari law, we must both agree to the terms of union. It is like a contract. You can add human requests if needed. He looked at the tablet. The words glowed in both Zalari and Earth language. Lines like, respect each other's customs. Share decision-making equally. Complete the bonding trial before ceremony. The ... Bonding trial? Keel asked. Vera nodded. It is important. One challenge from each world. We prove we can learn each other's way of life. That we are not only partners but equals. Keel scratched his head. So ... It's like a test? More like a lesson, she replied. Later that day, they both met with the colony leader and a Zalari elder through a shared conference. The elders smiled. As they read the contract, you are both respectful and willing. This is a strong sign, said Elder Scifi, her voice soft, but before anything was official, both families had to be informed. Keel sat with his parents that night through a video call. His mother looked ready to cry happy tears, of course. Your father and I are so proud. This could help all of Earth, she said. Keel smiled weakly. I'm not a hero, Mom. I'm just trying to understand her. That's what makes you the right one, his father said. You're not doing it for power. You're doing it with heart. Meanwhile, on the Zalari side, things were not so smooth. Vera stood before her 3 siblings and her mother. Her family was important leaders in their community. One of her brothers, Fenner, frowned. You let the human delay the bonding? He asked. He needs time. That is fair, Vera answered. Her mother spoke next, gently. Do you trust him, Vera? Yes, she said. He does not lie. He listens. That is rare, her mother said with a nod. Then we support you. Fenner still looked unsure, but he said nothing more. 2 days later, the first disagreement happened. Keel and Vera attended a joint dinner, half humans, half Zalari. Everything was going well. The Zalari cooked a soft glowing fruit dish, and the humans made baked bread with cheese. Then someone asked Keel to say a few words. He stood up nervously and made a joke about how weird the Zalari food looked. Most humans laughed. But the Zalari guests went silent. Vera's shoulders stiffened. Later she pulled Keel aside. In my culture, food given is a sign of trust. Your joke made it seem like ... shame. Keel's face turned red. I didn't mean it like that. I was nervous. I know. But others may not, she said softly. Next time, speak carefully. Keel felt awful. He wasn't used to alien rules, but he didn't want to hurt her or her people. I'll do better, he promised. Vera nodded. Then we keep learning. The next morning, Vera did something unexpected. She went to the colony school and offered to teach the children about Zalari history. She used pictures, holograms, and even let them touch her tools. The kids were amazed. Keel watched from the back, surprised. After class, he told her, You're good with kids. She looked at him, puzzled. Children are ... easier. They do not hide their feelings. Keel smiled. That's true. As Unity Week continued, their bond grew stronger. Keel took her to see the open fields beyond the colony fields with long green grass and tiny floating insects that glowed at night. Vera had never seen so much open space. It feels free, she said. That's Earth, sometimes messy, sometimes beautiful, but always free. In return, Vera showed him how to use a Zolari learning stone, a device that lets you feel music as shapes and colors in your mind. Keel was stunned. I didn't know learning could feel like that, he said. There's more than one way to grow, she replied. By the end of the week, something had changed. Keel no longer thought of her as just an alien visitor. He thought of her as someone real, someone smart, kind, and a little mysterious. And Vera began to smile more. She even laughed once when Keel tripped on a root and fell into a patch of flowers. Their contract was still not signed, their trial still to come. But something stronger than paper was building between them: trust. That night, as the stars came out, Vera stood beside Keel outside his home. You asked me before if I wanted this. I still don't know the full answer, Keel said. That is honest. Vera replied, but I do know this. I want to keep learning about you. She looked up at the stars. Then we are on the right path. They stood in silence, not as strangers, not yet as partners, but as something new, something becoming. The day of the bonding trial had finally come. According to Zolari tradition, both people must complete a challenge from the other's world to prove trust, teamwork, and understanding before marriage. Keel stood in front of the shuttle that would take him to Moonzel 5, a cold, wild place with no cities or machines. His part of the trial was to spend 3 full days alone on the moon, using only his survival skills. No computer, no signal, and no help. Just him, the land, and the stars. Vera's trial was different. She would stay in Keel's Earth colony, live with his family, and follow their daily routines. She had to cook, clean, and join small village events. To Zolari, such tasks were strange and very personal. Both of them knew this would not be easy. Day 1, Keel's trial, the shuttle landed with a soft hiss, and Keel stepped out into the cold. Zel 5 was quiet. The ground was rocky, the sky gray. Winds blew hard across the open land. Keel wore a special suit for warmth and carried a small pack with basic tools: a knife, rope, water filter, and a thermal blanket. He looked around. Okay, he whispered. Just 3 days, I can do this. Bye. Afternoon, he had built a small windshield using stones and set up a tent made from emergency cloth. But when night came, the wind grew stronger, and the temperature dropped fast. Inside his shelter, Keel shivered and hugged his knees. Should have packed a heater, he muttered. The long night felt like forever. Day 1, Vera's trial back in the colony. Vera knocked on Keel's family door. His mother, a cheerful woman named Myra, welcomed her in. Good morning, dear. You ready to make some breakfast? Vera looked at the bowl of eggs and flour with confusion. I have studied the process, she said carefully. Let's do it together, Myra said with a warm smile. The first attempt was messy. Vera dropped the bowl. The flour went everywhere, even on the dog bubbles. But Myra just laughed and handed her a towel. Later that day, Vera helped Keel's younger cousin fix a broken fence and learned how to carry water from the well. It was tiring work, but she didn't complain. Day 2, Keel's trial. Keel woke up to the sound of something moving outside. Slowly, he opened the flap of his tent and saw a small animal watching him from a distance. It looked like a 4-legged bird with glowing feathers. Hello, friend, Keel said quietly. I won't bother you. He walked to a nearby hill and searched for food. Using a small net he made from vines, he caught a few edible fruits growing near the rocks. They were sour, but they gave him energy. He also managed to collect clean water from a frozen stream. He smiled to himself. Not bad for a technician. Day 2, Vera's trial at the colony. Vera joined the town's weekly market. She carried baskets, helped an elder lift a heavy box, and even sold fresh bread with Myra. Children gathered around her, asking questions about space and aliens. Vera answered each one with patience. Later, she attended a small music night. The instruments were strange to her: guitars, drums, a flute, but she sat and listened quietly. When someone offered her a turn, she hesitated. Then, slowly, she picked up a hand drum and copied the rhythm. People clapped. She felt something warm in her chest. Day 3. Keel's trial. On the final day, a storm rolled in. The wind howled, and dust filled the air. Keel had to tie his tent to a large stone to keep it from flying away. He crouched inside, teeth chattering, but he remembered Vera's words. "You are calm in storms. That is your strength." He waited and waited. When the storm passed, the land was silent again. He stepped outside and looked at the gray horizon. He was tired, hungry, cold, but he was proud. He had made it. Day 3. Vera's trial. Vera spent the last day helping Mira cook for a family dinner. She chopped vegetables, stirred soup, and even learned to bake a small cake. Later that evening, Keel's younger cousin gave her a small drawing of the family. "You're part of us now," the child said. Vera looked at the picture for a long time. Then she smiled, truly smiled. That night, she sat with the family around a warm fire, eating and talking. She didn't say much, but her eyes showed calm and peace. She had passed her trial too. The next day, Keel and Vera stood before the Unity Council, tired but standing tall. Keel had a few cuts and dirt on his clothes. Vera had flower stains on her sleeves, but both had changed. They had walked each other's world and didn't run away. Elder Scifi spoke with joy. "You have completed the bonding trial. You have proven care, effort, and respect. You may now choose freely." Keel looked at Vera. Vera looked at Keel. Keel sat on a wooden bench near the colony's old watchtower. The evening wind was soft, and the stars were starting to appear. But his heart felt heavy. He stared at the ground, thinking about the wedding ceremony only 3 days away. People smiled when they passed him. Some waved. Others said, "Congratulations." But inside, Keel wasn't sure if he was ready. He liked Vera. She was smart, kind, and strong. They had been through a lot together. But marriage? That was a big step. Not just for him, but for Earth, for her people, for both worlds. He wondered, is she doing this for me or only for duty? And deeper still, am I? In the quiet Zalari guest room, Vera stood by a wide window, looking at the sky. Earth stars looked different from those on Zalarian. They were softer, warmer somehow. She thought about her time in the colony, the cooking, the children, the music, the laughter. It had been strange at first, but now she missed it already. But a small doubt had grown in her too. Keel was kind and honest. But was he agreeing to marry her out of kindness or pressure? Was she someone he truly wanted? Or just someone he didn't want to hurt? Vera placed her hand on the glass. The window felt cool, but her chest felt warm. She had to know the truth before the final step. The next morning, Keel asked Vera to meet him near the greenhouse, where tall glass walls reflected the early sun. He held 2 cups of warm root tea, one of her favorites now. Vera accepted the cup, then sat beside him on the low wall. They didn't speak at first. The air was quiet. Finally, Keel spoke. "Vera. Can I ask you something real?" She turned to face him. "Of course. Do you actually want to marry me? Not for your people, or the council, or the program. I mean you and me, just us." She looked down at her tea. The steam rose gently between them. "At first," she said, "I followed duty. My family believed this would make peace stronger. I agreed because I trusted them." She paused. "But now, after all we've seen and done, I wonder if peace is not just between planets, but also between hearts." Keel nodded slowly. "So you don't have a final answer?" "No," she said. "And you?" He shook his head. "Same." They both smiled sadly. Then Vera added, "But that is not failure, that is truth." Later that day, they met with the Peace Council for their final interview. The council hall was simple round. with a tall ceiling and glass floor showing the soil below. The human and Zalari leaders sat at a curved table. Everyone looked serious. Council Elder Scifi stood. You have passed all trials. You have earned this moment. We ask you now, do you accept this bond? There was a long silence. Keel took a deep breath. I want to say something first. The room went still. I don't want to agree because it's expected, Keel said. I respect Vera. I admire her. But we want more time. Not because we're afraid, but because we want this to be real. Vera stood beside him. We propose something new. A shared courtship, Earth style and Zalari style. We learn more. We grow closer. And if we still choose each other, we marry not as strangers, but as true partners. Some council members looked unsure. Others whispered. Elder Scifi raised her hand. You speak with honesty. That is the heart of true peace. She looked at both of them and nodded. Request accepted. That evening, the colony buzzed with news. People were curious, some surprised, but most were happy. Keel and Vera would not marry yet, but they had chosen each other with patience and care. It was a rare kind of bravery. They called it the open bonding path, a new model for future Earth Zalari. Relationships. In the days that followed, Keel and Vera began their new journey. They took turns visiting each other's world. On Earth, Vera helped Keel's uncle plant seeds on a rooftop garden. She even tried painting, though her brushstrokes were stiff and straight. On Zalarian, Keel wore glowing robes and joined a quiet sky-watching ceremony. He sat with Vera's grandmother and listened to stories told with music and light. They sent each other small gifts. Keel gave her a tiny handmade wind chime. Vera gave him a stone that played soft melodies when warmed by sunlight. They had their disagreements too. One day, Vera wanted to organize their plans by the hour. Keel just wanted to relax and talk. But instead of fighting, they laughed and found a balance. One night, under the twin moons of Zalarian, Keel and Vera walked through a quiet garden filled with glowing flowers. They sat near a soft blue fountain. Vera asked, Do you still have doubts? Keel looked up at the sky. Yes, but now they're smaller. And your hopes? She asked. They're growing. She smiled. Mine too. They sat side by side, not touching, but close. In that moment, they were no longer just Earth and Zalari. They were just two people, walking the path together slowly, carefully, but with open hearts. Keel stepped out of the transport ship and looked around. Zalarian was more beautiful than he remembered. The sky was not blue like Earth. It had a soft violet color, with two suns glowing far apart. Trees had long silver leaves that moved gently in the wind, and the ground sparkled with tiny crystals mixed into the soil. He was visiting Vera's home planet again, this time not as a guest, but as someone important in her life. As he walked through the streets, Zalari people stared at him with quiet curiosity. Some bowed their heads. Others simply watched him with unreadable expressions. Keel tried not to look nervous, but his hands were cold. Vera met him at the station. She wore a simple robe, light green with silver edges. Her eyes looked calm, but she smiled the moment she saw him. You came early, she said. You asked, Keel replied. And I wanted to. She handed him a small glowing pin. It's for protection, she said, from the cold and the stairs. He laughed. Then I'll wear two. Vera led Keel to her family home, a wide, round building made of glass-like stone that shimmered in the sun. Inside, the walls hummed softly with energy. Her mother, two brothers, and sister were waiting. Keel bowed politely. Her mother, tall and graceful, stepped forward. Welcome again, Keel of Earth. This time you return not as a visitor, but as a possible part of us. I'm honored, he said. I hope I can learn more. Her older brother, Fenner, remained silent. He still wasn't sure about Keel, but her younger sister, Laurie, smiled and offered him a small tray of fruit. Keel took a bite. It tasted like honey and mint. "Thank you," he said. "You used both hands," Larry said. "That shows respect." "I've been reading," Keel replied with a grin. Over the next few days, Keel joined Vera in different parts of her world. They walked through floating gardens where vines hung in the air. They rode gentle skycrafts powered by thought-sensitive crystals. And they visited the memory pool, where families shared stories by touching the water dot at the pool. Vera placed her hand in the glowing water and closed her eyes. A scene appeared above the pool, Vera as a child, learning to fly a small scout ship, her face full of wonder. Then she turned to Keel. "You try." Keel hesitated. Then he slowly placed his hand in the pool dot. To his surprise, the memory that appeared was of him sitting on the roof with his grandfather, watching stars, asking questions no one could answer. Vera watched quietly. "That is a strong memory," she said. "He told me, don't be afraid of the unknown. That's where new things are born," Keel said. Vera nodded. He was right. But not everything was easy. One evening, during a meal, Fenner asked Keel, "Would you give up Earth to live here forever?" Keel looked up. "I wouldn't give it up, but I would share it." "You cannot hold two homes in one heart," Fenner said. "I think you can," Keel replied. "If the heart is big enough." The room went silent. Then Vera's mother said gently, "Some bridges are built from both sides." Fenner said no more. Later that night, Keel and Vera walked outside. The stars on Zalarian were bright and close. A soft wind moved the trees, and the world felt quiet. Vera looked at Keel. "I'm proud of you." He raised an eyebrow. "For not spilling the soup?" She laughed softly. "For speaking with truth. And for not giving up." He looked at her. "It's not always easy. Your world is beautiful, but sometimes I feel like I don't belong." Vera touched the pin on his chest, the one she had given him. "You belong because you try. And that means more than perfection." Keel took a deep breath. "Do you ever feel unsure about us?" She was quiet for a moment. Then she answered, "Sometimes. But not in a bad way. I feel unsure because this is new. Because it matters." They sat on a bench under a glowing tree. Keel smiled. "You know, I never thought I'd end up here." "Neither did I," Vera said. "But I'm glad we did." A week later, they returned to Earth. This time, Vera was the one feeling unsure. The colony had prepared a celebration for them. Music played, people clapped, and children waved small flags of Earth and Zalarian side by side. Vera stood beside Keel as he introduced her to more family and friends. She tried to smile, but her shoulders were stiff. "Too loud?" Keel asked. "Just unfamiliar," she replied. He gently took her hand. "We can step back." They found a quiet spot under a large tree. Vera looked at him. "How do you stay calm in all this?" Keel chuckled. "I don't. I just breathe and pretend I'm back." "Fixing solar panels." She smiled. "I'll try that." That night, Vera and Keel sat beside a small fire behind the house. They shared quiet stories. Keel showed her how to roast marshmallows. Vera shared the Zalari poem about stars that listen. After a while, Keel looked at her. "Vira. We've seen each other's worlds. And we're still here. Still choosing." She nodded. "Yes." He continued, "Then maybe it's not about which world is better, but how we build our own, together." Vera touched the stone he had given her long ago, the one that played music in sunlight. "Then let's begin building." They sat there, not as Earth and Zalari, not as a contract or a mission, but as two people from two worlds, building a third one only they could create. The sky above Harwin 3 was clear. A soft breeze moved across the open field where the Unity Hall stood, made of smooth white stone and glass. Today, the hall would witness something new, something no one had seen before. Keel stood in front of a wide mirror inside the hall, wearing simple gray ceremonial clothes with a light blue sash, the color of trust. His hands were cold, even though the sun was warm outside. His friend Daro, a fellow technician, stepped beside him. "You nervous?" Daro asked with a smile. Keel laughed quietly. "Is it that obvious?" "Yes, but don't worry. Everyone's proud of you." Keel nodded slowly. "It's not just about me. It's about both of us. And both of our worlds." At the same time, Vera was in another room, standing still as her sister Laurie adjusted the folds of her dress. It was soft silver, lined with green threads that glowed faintly. A Zalari symbol of balance rested at her shoulder. "You look like a leader," Laurie said. "I feel like a question," Vera replied. Laurie touched her hand gently. "Then today, answer it with your heart." Vera gave a small smile. Her heart was steady but full. Outside, people from both Earth and Zalarian gathered in the open. Humans wore light-colored clothes. Zalari wore robes with glowing patterns. Flags of both planets waved gently in the wind. Children from both worlds sat together, holding small flowers. Elders whispered stories about unity and change. Everyone was waiting not for a normal wedding, but for a new kind of union. A human and an alien choosing each other freely, after time, after learning, after challenge. At last, music began. Not one melody, but two, one from Earth's old stringed instruments, and one from Zalari sound crystals. Together, they created a soft harmony. Vera walked down a path lined with clear stones. Keel waited at the center platform, heart pounding. Their eyes met, and both of them smiled. Elder Sivan stood between them. She had watched this journey from the start. "You came together not by force, but by choice," she said. "You learned not only each other's ways, but each other's hearts. That is the beginning of true unity." She raised her hand. "Do you speak your truth today?" Vera was the first to answer. "In the beginning, I did not know if this was right," she said. "But with time, I saw strength in gentleness and courage in small things. One choose not because I must, but because I believe." Keel spoke next. "I never expected any of this," he said. "But I met someone who taught me how to listen to the stars, how to walk with care, and how to see beyond my world. One choose. Not because it's easy, but because it's real." Elder Sivan nodded. "Then by your words and your will, this bond begins. May it guide others, may it grow." Vera and Keel stepped forward and pressed their hands together, Earth style and Zalari style both. Their families watched with quiet joy. A soft light rose from the joining stone beneath them, a sign of peace. After the ceremony, there was celebration. Humans danced to Zalari rhythms. Zalari children tasted Earth desserts and laughed at the sweetness. There were stories, songs, and promises of new projects between the worlds, but away from the noise. Keel and Vera sat together on a bench behind the hall. Keel leaned back and looked at the sky. "Well, we did it." "Yes," Vera said. "And yet it feels like just the beginning." He looked at her. "Are you happy?" She thought for a moment. "Yes, I am. Are you?" Keel smiled. "I think I've never felt more sure of anything." She reached into her sleeve and pulled out a small gift, a round stone with a soft glow. "This is called a pathstone. It's a sign of travelers who choose their road together." Keel took it with care. "Then let's carry it everywhere." In the weeks that followed, Vera and Keel began their shared life as cultural ambassadors. They visited both planets, helped schools start exchange programs, and answered thousands of questions. Do humans really sleep with animals in the house? One Zalari student asked. Sometimes, Keel said, laughing, but not wild ones. And do Zalari talk to their houses? A human child asked Vera. Not talk. More like understand, Vera replied with a small smile. They faced challenges too. Some people still feared change. Others doubted their bond. But every time they stood side by side, calm, respectful and kind, the doubts grew smaller. One quiet evening, they returned to the same field where it all began. The sun was setting. Birds flew overhead. Keel looked at the wide land and said, "You know what's strange?" "What?" "I never wanted to be part of anything big. I just wanted to fix things, wires, machines, small problems." Vera nodded. "And yet you helped fix something much bigger: hearts, fear, distance." Keel looked at her. "We both did." They stood there quietly, hands touching, not needing words. Above them, two stars began to shine side by side, one blue, one gold. 6 months had passed since the union of Keel and Vera. They were now known across both worlds, not as heroes, but as a symbol of understanding. Wherever they went, people smiled, waved, and asked questions. Their story had become a bridge between Earth and Zalarian. But they didn't see themselves as famous. To them, life was still made up of simple things: fixing broken parts, drinking warm tea, watching the stars from their small home on Unity Station, a peaceful outpost floating between both planets. That's where they lived now, halfway between two worlds. And it suited them perfectly. One bright morning, Keel sat at the station workshop, adjusting a small Earth-Solari translator device. It looked like a tiny pebble but could turn thoughts into shared language. "Almost done," he said, wiping his hands. Behind him, Vera entered the room holding 2 mugs. "You've been here since dawn," she said. "I had an idea I didn't want to forget," Keel replied. Vera handed him a mug. He took a sip and smiled. "Lemon root tea. You're learning. I even added 1 leaf this time, not 3, she said with pride. He laughed. "That's why it doesn't taste like hot tree bark today." She sat beside him. "Do you ever miss Harwin 3? She asked. Keel looked up. "Sometimes. The fields. The smell of rain. My friend Daro's terrible jokes." "And your family?" "Of course," he said. "But they visit. And we visit them. That's the good part. Now we have more than one home." Vera nodded. "So do I." That afternoon, the couple visited a learning center on the station. It was full of young students, half from Earth, half from Zalarian. They were learning about each other's histories, languages, and games. When Vera and Keel walked in, the children clapped. A young girl raised her hand. "Did you love each other from the start?" Keel chuckled. "No, at first, I thought she wanted to arrest me." The children laughed. Vera added, "And I thought he was too quiet to be useful." More laughter. "But we listened," she continued. "We learned. We respected." Another child asked, "What if 2 people are very different? Can they still be close?" Vera smiled and nodded. "Differences are not walls. They are doors." Keel added, "And when you open the door, you find more than you expected." That evening, Keel stood by the window of their quarters, looking at the stars. Vera joined him, silent. "I used to look at the sky and feel small," he said. "Now I look and feel part of something big." "Because you are," she replied. "We both are." He turned to her. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we said no?" Vera thought for a moment. "Then maybe someone else would be here now. But it wouldn't be us. And I'm glad it is," Keel smiled. "Me too." They stood there, hand in hand, as the stars moved slowly in the sky. Weeks passed. They traveled again, this time to a green colony moon, where Earth and Zalari workers were building a shared science center. People welcomed them with warmth. Children gave them flower rings. Elders bowed respectfully. A small boy walked up to Keel and asked, "Are you really married to her?" Keel smiled. "Yes, is that strange?" The boy shook his head. "No. I think it's awesome." Vera knelt down. "You know why we did it? To be together?" The boy guessed. She nodded. "Yes, but also to show that peace is not just something we sign, it's something we live." Back on Unity Station, they celebrated their first bond day, the anniversary of the day they chose each other freely. They didn't invite crowds or host a big event. They just shared dinner. Vera made her version of earth stew, slightly sour but full of effort. Keel made Zalari honey leaf cakes, slightly burned, but sweet in taste and meaning. After eating, they sat under the artificial starlight in the station garden. Flowers from both planets grew there, side by side. Vera rested her head on Keel's shoulder. "Do you think others will follow what we did?" she asked. "They already are," Keel said. "Slowly, but yes." Later that night, as they walked back home, they passed a mural being painted by young artists. The image showed a bridge stretching between two planets. On one side stood a human holding a toolbox. On the other, a Zalari holding a crystal book. In the middle, they were building something together, something glowing. "It's us," Keel said, surprised. Vera touched the mural gently. "It's everyone who chooses peace." Back in their room, Keel placed the pathstone, the one Vera had given him, on the windowsill. It caught the soft light and began to play its gentle melody. Vera sat nearby, eyes closing slowly. Keel watched her for a moment, then whispered, "You know, I don't think of you as alien anymore." She opened her eyes. "What then?" "Just Vera, the person I walk the stars with." She smiled. "And you are Keel, the human who became more than just human." Outside, the stars shine. Inside, two hearts beat calmly, different in form, but the same in rhythm. And so the human and the alien woman did not just marry, they grew, they inspired, and they proved to the galaxy what many had forgotten, that peace does not begin with governments or machines, but with two people brave enough to understand each other. Together. Always.